What's up, Sons of Montezuma, and a happy 4th of July. I hope all Aztec Nation is celebrating their Independence Day because according to the Mountain West, San Diego State is still out on their own.
Toss to him. Can he get the edge? Gonna try it. He's got it. Record time. Donnell Pumphrey smashes the record.
On the return, it's Rashad Penny. And Penny finds the seam. Penny to the outside. Penny will go the distance.
First and goal. Fake to Penny. Open man. Wells. He leans. He gets the ball. And they say touchdown San Diego State.
Dingwell back to pass. He lofts it up there to the corner. Touchdown Adam Roberts. Scared money don't make no money. Rocky Long and the Aztecs will walk away with a big win in OT.
All right, guys, welcome back, Aztec Nation, to another episode of the Sons of Montezuma podcast, where we talk nothing but San Diego State. Just the finest of San Diego State sports talk. It's your host, Mateo. You can find me at Mateo San Diego on Twitter, and of course, all of us at Sons of Monty on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. And if you're watching here on YouTube, make sure that you hit the like and subscribe button. We want to spread the word to as many Aztecs fans out there as possible. Aztec Nation just keeps growing on YouTube, so we really appreciate your support. And hey, again, happy 4th to everybody this week. You know, falling on a Tuesday, a little different. Not really a fan of it, but want to wish you and all of yours just a great Independence Day. Make sure that you're celebrating wisely, safely, and if you are enjoying a nice cold beverage, make sure that it is a State Ale by Ale Smith. They have been tremendous supporters of the show and of Sons of Monty. The State Ale is a tremendous drink. Just make sure you are being responsible this week. Want to make sure all Aztec Nation is around for everything coming down the way. And I'm riding solo today, so K5 James, Dirtball Dan, want to give a shout out to those guys. They're all out of town celebrating. So, you know, with all the craziness going on these last few days, I'm definitely interested to hear their thoughts and opinions, but I felt like we needed to get our words out today. So this is probably going to be our 5th or 6th year covering Aztecs football in a podcast or YouTube form. And, you know, we appreciate all you loyal Sons of Montezuma day one supporters, you know, since creating this platform and this, this supporters group, if you will. It's been an incredible ride. You know, the growth has been tremendous these last few seasons. And, you know, I remember going back to 2017 and we're talking about covering, you know, the battle for Mission Valley, to the voting referendum against Soccer City and going up against, you know, Landon Donovan and this, you know, investment group. It was like going from all of that to all of a sudden talking Aztec football during a pandemic. And, you know, it just felt like, man, being an Aztec fan is wild. Like, if you come from a family like I do, an Aztec family, and I haven't shared too much about my Aztec family, but, you know, if you're anything like us, when it comes to 4th of July or, you know, Thanksgiving, Christmas, you know, Easter, any kind of get together, we are talking Aztec sports around that kitchen table. And so coming off what we have all come off these last few years to now the brand new Snapdragon Stadium, I mean, it just can't get any more exciting for an Aztec fan, right? I think these last few months have kind of put that assumption to the test, because I mean, what we've seen these last few months, a national championship game, to all of a sudden now on the brink of joining a power conference. I mean, these are some of the things that us as Aztec Nation always hoped, talked about, dare I say, dreamed for. I remember me and my brother going down to, you know, Estadio Caliente down in TJ. For those of you who know Tijuana, you go down there, you can watch some some Mexican soccer. And I remember I was going down there and looking at that stadium, and it was still in the building phases. Every year it was like they were adding on a new segment, a new building segment of that stadium. And we would just sit there and look around and be like, if we could just have this for Aztec football, we would be amazed. And we got all that and more. So, it's just been an incredible, unprecedented time of success and excitement for Aztec sports in general. But what we've just been seeing these last few months, it has, to many, it's kind of making people scratch their heads a little bit. So we wanted to come out here and just kind of clear up a couple of things. If you've been listening to us, especially in our last episode where we talked about, the June 30th deadline and everything that was wrapped up in it. We still stand very confidently that San Diego State is going to be joining a power conference, and particularly the Pac-12. And we still stand very, very solid on that. But, the stage was set. The stage was set for the Pac-12 for over a year now. Since USC, UCLA left, it shook the foundations of college sports as we know it, especially here on the West Coast, right? So, and I mean, we don't really need to go into every single reason why San Diego State is still the no-brainer decision to be added into the Pac-12. I mean, of course, they're the only Southern California FBS presence out there. And, San Diego's in a incredibly fruitful recruiting hotbed, oozing with talent. I mean, never mind the fact that, San Diego is one of the largest cities in the nation with a pretty sizable media market that, is still just waiting to be, cultivated and grown properly. There's no need to go through every single issue, why they have a new stadium and a new campus expansion and, all the money that's been invested into that campus expansion and how it got overwhelming, community support. And I mean, we could go through every single reason, all the success in basketball, football, two of the top combination winning percentages of all FBS, of all the NCAA. But, the Pac-12, I get it. They're used to being that conference of champions, and rightfully so, that they've held that title for many, many decades. And, if any Aztec fan is being truthfully honest, we've always wanted to be in the Pac-12. I mean, come on, let's be real. We've always saw ourselves aligning with the Pac-12. All of those major markets that the Pac-12 have historically been in, whether it's LA, Seattle, Colorado, now, and of course the Bay Area, Arizona. I mean, these are all markets that are very familiar to San Diego, whether through NFL, whether through Major League Baseball. So it's not like these are foreign territories. This is where we belong. So the stage was set for the Pac-12, make the no-brainer decision. They've had over a year to get their media deal done, and we're still waiting. More on that. But first, I wanted to address these letters because that's our business. That's San Diego State business. The June 30th deadline is San Diego State business. Now, we talked about the initial letter from our president, Adela de la Torre. And, right off the bat, one of the first things I asked my father about were those letters. And the first response was, well, these letters are setting a precedent. It's setting a negotiating precedent. It's setting a legal precedent. It's along the lines of, the political realm. And I get it. So for those of you who don't necessarily get it, highly encourage reading Mr. Garrison's article there at EVT. Explains it very well. And we had TJ Altimore on the show ways back, kind of explaining how the Pac-12 works, how different things work when it comes to strategies and whatnot. And so when you read the letter, that one word intending, the intention to leave the Mountain West, that's the big word. And we pointed that out in one of our articles, that was the word that was going to give us that wiggle room to either play, okay, if the Pac-12 can make that June 30th deadline, well, we intend to leave. So, okay, we're covered. We're in the clear. But if they don't make that June 30th deadline, well, we're covered. We're in the clear because we didn't technically leave yet. So the Mountain West new commissioner, Gloria, what I can't remember her name. Gloria Nevarez. A lot of people want to paint her out to be this villain, or they want to paint SDSU to losing sight of their negotiating leverage. Neither one of those is correct. I think we can all see that this is a political move if we all look at it with clear eyes, clear minds.
Clear eyes, full hearts, can't lose.
Can't lose, right? So with no decision by the Pac-12, by this June 30th deadline, SDSU has a lot to consider because the stage was set. The stage was set, guys. The Pac-12 being without their top media markets in UCLA, USC, they've been left to pick up the pieces and regroup for about a year now. If there was ever a time for the Pac-12 to gain some good ground, grab some positive momentum going into this July 4th week, this was it. This was the time, that deadline, that 30th deadline. I mean, that's pretty strategic in itself to set that up right before the 4th of July. So if you're going to make that move, well, some conference is going to add you and you're going to be leading into that wave of momentum going into 4th of July. Hey, everybody's partying, everybody's celebrating our independence, our new opportunity. It was right there for them. But unfortunately, Aztec Nation, we're just going to have to, let out our collective groans for 2 more years, it sounds like. Now, the reports of the Pac-12's media deal being in the final stages, I mean, it's been circulating for weeks now, but we all know by now the deadline was not met by the Pac-12. That's another story we'll get into in the second half of the listen. But, so SDSU sent a follow-up letter. And this time, on the deadline of June 30th, officially declaring that they're going to return to the Mountain West for this foreseeable future. Of course, Conference Commissioner Gloria Nevarez, she's gone full tilt against SDSU, as so it seems. And she's saying, hey, you guys told us you're leaving, so we're taking you at your word. She's not paying any attention to that intent word. There's no wiggle room for her on that word. But as we saw by San Diego Union Tribune's beat writer for Aztec Sports, Mark Ziegler reported Monday that they had pretty much pushed that letter to the fullest extent. And it sounds like they're going to be pushing their position on those letters, possibly into some litigation, which sounds completely fascinating to me. It's an $18 million exit fee, and they're withholding $6 million currently. There's still so many more questions and, than answers, unfortunately. But we're going to try to offer up a few for you to consider and something for you guys to think about. So, if the Pac-12 is truly close to signing their media deal, as reported, should SDSU have taken a chance and exited the Mountain West before the deadline? Hey, you don't have a landing spot. You don't have that firm agreement in writing with the Pac-12. So I've seen some people say, well, they should just go ahead and just exit officially. If the Pac-12 is that close, they're going to extend the invite and everything will be okay. Now, this sounds like a bold and aggressive plan of action that fans could get excited about. And I mean, what is a few weeks of not officially having a conference? What's a few weeks of being completely independent after all, right? But once the Pac-12 wraps up their media deal, they could simply extend the invite and SDSU, waiting in the wings, could finally move forward together. Not so fast. For months now, we've heard pretty veiled language from our leadership and administrators that SDSU could be having a new landing spot in a better situation, a better location soon. But, when it comes to business, if it's not on that dotted line, it can't be all blind faith. And can you imagine the danger that SDSU leadership could have put their athletic members, student athletes, and all the staff in without an official invite? So there really wasn't a realistic chance for that to happen. I mean, it's just too risky, way too risky. So essentially that puts SDSU stuck between, I like to say, stuck between a mountain and a hard place. Now, the other obvious reason why you couldn't just leave the Mountain West without a landing spot at all is because the Pac-12 hasn't solidified their media deal yet. You don't know what the terms are going to be for that media deal. If you were to leave, you'd essentially be leaving for a complete unknown of what you would be agreeing to with the Pac-12. So that in itself, that eliminates that opportunity to live, wild and free on the razor's edge. Now, you got to give some credit to the Mountain West for making it known publicly their stance, how they interpreted SDSU's letter of intent. If they really want to take it to a court of law, I don't think their position is going to hold any water. I mean, SDSU has made it plainly obvious that they, before the deadline, reiterated, doubled down on the fact that they're staying within the Mountain West. Now, from the outside looking in, and a lot of these Mountain West fans I've seen them all over, from whether it's Boise or Utah State or Fresno, they're all having their laughs right now, and enjoy that, guys. Enjoy that. Have fun all you want, thinking that, now the Mountain West is going to rake San Diego State over the coals and, demand that they renegotiate their entrance back into the Mountain West and tie them down for another 5 to 7 years I saw out there, and really make them pay. Really, really teach them a lesson, Gloria. Gloria. Yeah. The bottom line here, guys, Gloria's, she's a smart cookie. She made her name in the Pac-12. She's got to show strength to the Mountain West. She's got to show that she's going to be tough on SDSU, hold their feet to the fire, make them think twice about leaving and using the Mountain West as the fallback option. But really, when it comes down to it, nobody is kicking SDSU out of the Mountain West Conference, not after all the football success they've had, and especially the basketball success that they've had. I mean, the national championship, all the millions of dollars that run brought into the conference, they don't want to give that up. Absolutely not. One key thing to remember about all of this is that this round of expansion, it's not going to be the final go of it, guys. San Diego State may be included in this go round, but these media deals are not going to be as long as what we have all been accustomed to. I mean, the shorter, the better now, as technology is advancing with streaming. And of course, the money just keeps getting more and more ridiculous. Conferences don't want to bog themselves down to a long commitment. They want that freedom to be able to renegotiate and get a better deal for themselves quicker and more often. So who knows, there may be more opportunities for Mountain West teams. I know we like to poke fun at a lot of our counterparts there as Aztecs fans, but there may be real opportunities for a Colorado State or a UNLV or perhaps a Fresno State. I think those three are probably the most logical options to advance into a power conference. And, if there's any indication, wherever San Diego State has gone in our history that we know of, Fresno State is soon to follow, or maybe not so soon, but they're eventually following in their wake. So for all you Fresno State Bulldogs, chill out. You might get your chance. You never know. So whether these letters add up to any kind of legal action, I highly doubt it. It's mostly all an opportunity for everyone to look tough here and to provide the best optics, not only for commissioners, but for presidents, for athletic directors, for everyone in leadership. If it does, I really don't think the Mountain West has any leg to stand on. Now, if it's the complete opposite, and if Gloria Nevarez is truly as shrewd of a businesswoman as, some may think, and she really wants to hold San Diego State's feet to the fire, hey, you may just be doing us a favor, because by prolonging this debate, whether San Diego State meant they were leaving or no, they're not leaving, that debate, you're prolonging this whole declaration thing for several more weeks, however long, they intend to put up this fight. And that just may be enough time for the Pac-12 to get their house in order and extend that invite to San Diego State. And we've got our extension, for about the same price that we were asking for in that original letter. And if that's the case, that's amazing, because then everybody gets their revenues that they feel they rightfully earned or was agreed upon in the exit fees. San Diego State can move forward with the Pac-12 and continue their ascension. The Mountain West, they can figure out, I'm sure they have, whoever's next in line to take San Diego State's spot, whether I've heard UTSA, I've heard North Dakota State, I've heard a couple, maybe I think our buddy Joel was talking about North Texas. So there's a couple options at play that they could do and tapping into the Texas market maybe. But if that's the case, let's go, Gloria. Keep it rolling. Let's extend this thing out just as long as possible, and let's get the Pac-12 ready to position themselves to add the Aztecs. So that's my take. That's my roundup. That's just me looking at everything out there, the obvious, kind of highlighting the obvious of what's been out there. And hey, I still feel firmly San Diego State's going to be in the Pac-12. We're going to talk a little bit more about the Pac-12 in just a second. Hey Aztec Nation, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit the like and subscribe button to our channel. And then stop on over to sonsofmontezuma.com, where you can find more SDSU sports, news, articles, podcasts, and the freshest and most unique Aztec-inspired merchandise, including our original NIL shop. Lots of new styles there for both men and women, and even kids. Your support to this channel helps fund a lot more creative ideas. So make sure to stop over to sonsofmontezuma.com. Go Aztecs. So I was listening to the Locked On Pac-12 podcast, and I really, really appreciate what they do over there. Spencer's got a great grasp on the Pac-12, and he seems to have a really, really firm grasp on everything going on in Aztec Nation. So I appreciate that. You got to love when there's some good insight into your own team, right? And one of the things I love that he was talking about was, San Diego State deserves to be in the Pac-12. They've earned it. They fit right in. They're a perfect fit. I think he was saying it. And, I agree 100%. One of the things that a lot of Aztec Nation out there, I see it in your comments. Make sure you guys are bringing up your questions in your comments down below. But one of the things I constantly see is everybody saying, hey, we got to go to Big 12. This Pac-12 business is just not it, and I've been there right with you guys sometimes. Sometimes I wane, I'm like, man, this thing is just taking way too long with the Pac-12. It doesn't feel like we're that important to them. If they couldn't meet our deadline, how much do they really want us? I want to be where we are truly wanted. And then I had to sit back and think to myself, you know what, guys? Beggars can't be choosers. And unfortunately, or fortunately, that's the position we're in. One of the realizations that we all need to have as Aztec Nation is that this June 30th deadline, that was San Diego State's deadline. That was an Aztec deadline. That was not a Pac-12 deadline. As much as I said that they needed that positive boost and momentum and publicity and all that good stuff, they could have been rolling into this week celebrating a new edition. And when it comes down to it, Mr. Kliavkoff is making his decision for his conference. And San Diego State is not in that conference just yet. So he's doing his due diligence. All the school presidents, all the university presidents are doing their process and figuring out what is best for that Pac-10 as it is right now. We may not like the timeline. It's not working on our timeline, but that's the leverage that the Pac has right now. It's their timeline. We are trying to get into their conference. But if you look sharply at that media deal, they need to know what they're working with so that they can rightfully offer to San Diego State and SMU whatever terms are going to come from that. There's this battle between the Big 12 and the Pac-12, of course, for perception. The big, as K5 James likes to call them, the 12 anons, throwing everything out there, trying to, downgrade the Pac-12 and every move that they make. I get it. It's fun. It's content creating fun out there on YouTube and all that good stuff. But at the end of the day, that's really all it is. Yeah, if any teams were going to lose, if any teams were going to leave the Pac-12 for the Big 12, I think they would have done it already by now. And so this is what we are potentially getting ourselves into, guys. Aztec Nation, I'm talking to you. This is how the Pac operates. So whatever you're feeling right now, whatever your thoughts are of the process and the way that they've handled their business, the way that they highlight their programs, or if you feel they don't, their media deal, their structure, all the ins and outs of how they operate and manage, this is what we're getting ourselves into. So whatever that means for you, hold on tight, buckle up, whatever it is. This is the leadership that apparently San Diego State wants to align themselves with. Now, that's the only reservation that, some of us, yes, we understand the bigger picture, bringing in a CSU into alignment with a UC system school like Berkeley. And, that whole fusing together that's going to be a landmark moment. It may not mean that athletics is going to get the ultimate shine, but we're talking about collegiate athletics here, guys. And the academics are a huge part of it, the biggest part of it in California. That's the ultimate goal. And if you keep your eyes on that being the ultimate goal, you won't be disappointed. At least that's what we're banking on. That's what Adela, that's what all the staff and faculty are banking on at San Diego State. That stadium investment we all knew was going to be just an incredible development there in Mission Valley, Snapdragon Stadium. But it pales in comparison to the surrounding campus that's going to be expanded there around the stadium. When that thing is fully built out, you may not even notice the stadium all that much because it's going to be dwarfed by, of course, affordable housing, of course, the river park, but then there's going to be an actual campus built out around it. Now, for those of you who are still saying, well, we need to go to the Big 12, until there's room for the Big 12 to add us, it's not going to happen. They have their sights set on whether it's Colorado, whether it's Arizona. That's what you hear from them. Whether that happens or comes to fruition, I don't see it. But if that does happen, let's say Colorado or Arizona does leave for the Big 12, well, that just leaves 2 more empty slots in the Pac-12. San Diego State then becomes even more attractive. Then you have to, that very moment, add the Aztecs into the Pac-12. So I rest my case. Pac-12 it is. It has to happen. The Pac-12 needs the inventory. They need those Friday night games. They need that extra, California presence. They need new blood injected into that conference, new excitement, some new competition. Is just a matter of time. What that time frame looks like, who knows? If they're going to get their media deal done before the Pac-12 media days, I wouldn't be surprised. It's almost like that submarine that went down looking for the Titanic. They said the search takes forever, but once you found it, that rescue is very, very fast. And that's kind of like what this situation may be like as well. This media deal is going to take forever, but once that's solidified, I think that expansion invite is going to happen really quickly. Of course, we found out with that submarine that the powers that be, they knew exactly what had happened with that whole situation. So maybe we're all just talking and, the powers that be, they already know what's going to happen. Maybe the deal's already been done. Well, that's going to do it for this episode of the Sons of Montezuma podcast. I want to thank you guys for joining. Hopefully we gave you something new to think about perhaps, or a different perspective. Either way, we want to encourage you to go to sonsofmontezuma.com. Check out our online shop, all of our NIL merchandise and our cool products that are coming on the way. Football season is right around the corner, and I can't wait to actually talk about some games with K5 James, Dirtball Dan, Coach C, hopefully, and of course, SD Sports Fiend Mike Tortolano on the basketball side. Until next time, hope you all have a safe 4th of July week. And hey, to all the haters out there in the Mountain West, you know what it is. See you guys next time. Go Aztecs.
I'm an Aztec warrior.
Giants.
Yo, 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 yo.